Hi friends, this is Sarojang here. Welcome to my networking channel. And today the topic I'm going to discuss about GRE tunnel IPv6 IP. So there are two types of tunneling. One we can do manual tunneling and another one we can do auto tunneling. So automatic tunneling. So this is the tunnel I want to show about how to tunnel IPv6 over IPv4 networks. So at the transmitting end, we'll encapsulate IPv6 packet into IPv4 packet as we are. I'm just passing the IPv6 tunnel over the IPv4, right? So that is the reason what I'm going to do at the transmitting end, we'll encapsulate these IPv6 clients into IPv4, and at the receiving end, what happened? We'll strip the IPv4 and it pass only the IPv6 packets to the R3. So at the transmitting end, encapsulation, and at the receiving end, it will perform the decapsulation, and the default mode of tunnel is GRE. So here I am going to show how we can tunnel IPv6 in IPv4 packet. So through GRE we can encapsulate multiple protocols, and also we can encapsulate IPv6 clients over the IPv4. So that is the purpose of encapsulation. So now let us see the step by step how to do the encapsulation. So before that, let us quickly configure the directly connected interfaces. Then we'll enable the IPv6 client. Then I'm going to show how to perform the encapsulation using the GRE tunnel. So what we can do, let us go to R1 configuration. Let us now quickly configure the directly connected interfaces. So R1 has one interface 1.1. So go to R1 interface fast Ethernet 0x0 IP addresses 192.168.1.1 255.255.255.0. Let us do a no shut, activate the interface. Similar way, let us go to R2 and let us define the interfaces. R2 has two interfaces. Configuration mode, interface fast Ethernet 0x0 IP addresses 192.168.1.2 255.255.255.0. Let us activate this interface. And R2 has another interface fast Ethernet 1x0, right? So go to configuration mode, fast Ethernet 1x0, and the IP address is 2.1, right? IP address 2.1. Let us now activate this interface. So now let us activate this interface, and similar way let us go to R3 and let us activate this interface. Go to R3, go to the configuration mode and interface fast Ethernet 1x0, right? Fast Ethernet 1x0 IP addresses 192.168.2.2, sorry, 2.2 255.255.255.0, and let us activate this interface also. So I activate all the IPv4 interfaces. So here I am going to connect an IPv6 client. So what I have done, I am going to define a loopback address and I am going to set this IPv6 address, and here also R3 I am going to define the loopback address because I want to show how we can do an encapsulation for connecting the IPv6 packets over the IPv4, right? So that is the purpose of encapsulation. So here I'm going to define this loopback address, and R3 I'm going to define this loopback address. So now let us define the loopback address. Interface loopback 0. Let us enable IPv6 enable. For enabling the IPv6, then IPv6 address is 2001::1/128. So first is a prefix and the last one is the interface ID. So it is totally a composition of 128-bit address, right? It contains prefix and the interface ID. First portion is prefix and the last portion is the interface ID, right? So similar way, let us go to, so yeah, I defined R1. Let us define the loopback address for R3, right? So R3 considers the loopback address as a end client, that is the IPv6 client. So interface loopback 0, and the IPv6 will enable it, followed by IPv6 address 2001::3/128. So now we have defined the loopback address and I enabled it on R1 and R3. So just for connecting the end client. So this I considered as end client, IPv6 client. So this is one IPv6 client. So both the client will be communicating over the IPv4 network. So for that reason, I'm doing encapsulation and decapsulation using the tunneling. So that is the purpose of tunneling mechanism, right? So what I'm going to do now, let us go to R1 and I'm going to define another one more loopback address. Loopback 1. This for IPv4. IP address 1.1.1 255.255.255.255. Right? Similar way, let us go to R3. Go to the configuration mode, interface loopback 1. Let us make it as IP address 3.3.3 255.255.255.255. So we have defined the loopback address and we have defined all the directly connected interfaces. So now only one thing is pending. What is that? We have to configure use the corresponding routing protocol and the tunneling mechanism. So let us now define the tunnel. Go to the configuration mode. So interface tunnel, make it as 0, right? So now what I'm going to do, let us now define the address. So tunnel source. So to let us define the tunnel source. So tunnel source is loopback 1, right? This is a loopback 1, 1.1 IPv4. So and the tunnel destination. So let us make the tunnel destination as let us make it as 3.3.3, right? So 3.3.3.3. Okay, so now you define the tunnel destination also. Similar way, let us go to R3 and define the tunnel. Go to R3, go to the configuration mode. So interface tunnel 0 and let us define the source. Tunnel source is loopback 1 and the tunnel destination is what is it? 1.1.1. That is a loopback address of R1, right? So now we have defined the tunnel. So now still it is showing down. So now what we have to do, we have to define the loopback address. So now we have to advertise this tunnel in IPv6, right? So this is a tunnel thing I have done and I also created the address. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to advertise this in a routing protocol. So router EGRP 100. So network, let us do a shotgun approach. 0. Let us do a no auto summary for advertising this IPv4 address. Go to the configuration mode. So router EGRP 100 network 0.0.0.0 no auto summary. So this is a shotgun approach for defining all the networks connected in the IPv4 address in EGRP. Similar way, go to R3 configuration mode router EGRP 100 and the network 0.0.0.0 and let us do the no auto summary. So this is the way we have connected the IPv4 address and so we advertise all the networks in IPv4 address for communication. So now I have to advertise this loopback address, right? So for making this tunnel up, I have to just define this loopback address. So you see now the tunnel interface are coming up. Still I have enabled the IPv6 client, right? So we will not see any address. Now you can see show IP route. So now you are able to see all the IPv4 address. Let us see IPv6 route. So IP only seeing 2001 1:128, right? So I'm not seeing the destination address. That is destination loopback address. So I want to reach this tunnel, right? 2001 For that reason, I'm going to advertise this in a routing protocol called RIP-NG routing protocol. So that is a RIP protocol we are using for IPv6. So go to the configuration mode. Let us activate it. IPv6 router RIP-NG, right? So we enabled it. Then go to the interface mode. So interface loopback 0. So this is the address we have to now advertise in this routing protocol. Enabled here IPv6 RIP RIP-NG enable, right? Similarly, I have to enable this is in tunnel also. So I have to enable this is in tunnel also because tunnel also I'm going to advertise. So go to the configuration mode, interface tunnel 0. So IPv6 enable, then IPv6 RIP RIP-NG enable. So I'm just enabling this because I'm going to encapsulate IPv6 over IPv4, right? So for that reason, I'm just enabling the tunnel IPv6 enable and IPv6 the corresponding routing protocol. Similar way, let us go to R3 and let us do that. So go to the configuration mode, interface, yeah. So let us activate the protocol IPv6 router RIP RIP-NG. Then what I'm going to do? Let us define the routing protocol loopback 0. So I have to enable this protocol IPv6 RIP RIP-NG enable. Similar way I have to define in the tunnel also, right? So interface tunnel mode 0 IPv6 enable. Let us activate the tunnel because I'm encapsulating IPv6 over IPv4 network, so that we have to advertise IPv6 rip ng enable. So now we advertise everything in the tunnel, right? IPv6 clients in the tunnel also. So now let us check the routing entries. Show IPv6 route. So yeah, so now everything is reachable. Now I'm able to reach this IPv6 client over R1, and similarly let us check from R3, show IPv6 route. You are able to see, right, why I'm created the advertise this corresponding tunnel in REPNG protocol. I have to enable the IPv6 in R1 also and R3. So in interface tunnel mode, I have defined the tunnel source as the IPv4 address, and tunnel destination also I have defined. Similar way, I have to also enable the IPv6, because that is the way it will encapsulate the IPv6 over IPv4. So enable the IPv6, then I advertise the tunnel in the RIP protocol. So now we are able to see the advertised routes. So now let us check the remote tunnel 2001::3. I'm able to reach from R1 to R3 IPv6 client, and let us see from R3 to R1. Ping 2001::1. Yeah, see, I'm able to reach from R1 to R3 and R3 to R1. This is the way we can just do the IPv6 in IPv4 tunneling. Show IPv6 route. I'm able to see all the routes, right? See, we're able to see all the routes. Similarly, let us check in R3. Show IPv6 route. I am seeing the local connect interfaces, and also I'm seeing the RIP routes, advertised RIP destination networks, and this is a tunnel interface. So what are the key points you have to keep it in mind is, first what are the things we have done is, first we have defined the interfaces for IPv4. Then this for end client as IPv6, I have defined the loopback address for R1 and R3. Then I have advertised that loopback address. I have defined the loopback address for IPv6 R1 and R3. Then I have configured the EHRP routing protocol for this IPv4 communication. Then I have enabled the IPv6 address, IPv6 enable for R1 and R3. After that, I have advertised the routing protocol, RIP-NG protocol, for the loopback address and the tunnel interfaces, mainly for the communication between the IPv6 end clients. So this is a way we have to create the manual GRE tunneling for IPv6 in IPv4. Right? There are two types of tunneling. One is the manual and automatic. So this is the way we have to configure the manual GRE tunneling for IPv6 IP. So let us see now. One more thing is pending. Let us see. Show interfaces tunnel. Yeah, the another thing I want to show you. So here the default mode, let us see what is the mode edition. See, it is default mode is showing GRE. So we can also convert that mode. Let us see interfaces tunnel 0. So I can convert that mode to tunnel mode IPv6 IP. So that's the thing I defined. So let us see define the same thing on R3. So default mode will be GRE interface tunnel 0, and let us make the tunnel mode as IPv6 IP. So I defined it. So now let us check the tunnel interface. So now you're able to see, right, the tunnel transport protocol is IPv6 IP for the end client, and it is associated with loopback. See, the tunnel source is 1 and the destination is 3, right? You're able to see, right? Similar way, let us check in R3. Show interfaces tunnel 0. Source destination IP you are able to see, and the tunnel default mode is GRE, but I have configured as IPv6 IP. Since we are going to communicate between the client, and let us check one more the routing entries. Show IPv6 route. I'm able to reach, right? So 2001::1. I'm able to ping. Similar way, we can ping from here also, the destination network. So this is the thing I want to show you. So I hope you understood how to configure the GRE tunnel mode IPv6 IP. So this is the way we can configure the manual tunneling for tunneling IPv6 end clients over the IPv4 network. For that reason, we can use GRE. And here the GRE mode, tunnel mode I would have done is IPv6 IP using the static tunneling. So I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos. Thanks and have a wonderful day. Thank you.